Yesterday morning, I opened my closet and felt my stomach drop. The one thing I'd been saving for my daughter for 16 years, gone. Not misplaced, not borrowed, gone. I stood there staring at the empty space where the box should have been, my brain refusing to believe it. 2 weeks from now, my daughter turns 18, and I had a gift for her that was supposed to change her life. Now it's probably sitting in a landfill somewhere, under 1,000 pounds of other people's garbage, and the person who threw it away is my wife. I met Chloe when we were both broke college kids sharing a too-small table in the campus library. She was working on a design project for her fashion degree, pencil tucked behind her ear. Hair tied back like she didn't even notice she was the most magnetic person in the room. I was supposed to be studying for an exam, but I ended up asking her about her sketches instead. That was the first conversation of thousands. We didn't just date, we grew up together. First apartment with peeling linoleum floors, first shared car that rattled every time we hit 50 miles per hour, late nights where we'd fall asleep talking about everything we wanted to do with our lives. The day after our wedding, she told me she was pregnant. I can still see the way she said it, holding the test like it was the world's smallest trophy. The tears in her eyes, the tiniest, almost guilty smile. Like she couldn't believe she got to tell me something so big. That's when we bought the camera. Not just for milestones, but for everything. Lunch at a diner, folding baby clothes on the couch, or sitting cross-legged on the bed, rubbing her stomach and talking to the baby like they could hear every word. We labeled each tape carefully. Sometimes she'd stop mid-sentence, grin into the lens and say, "Eleanor, if you're watching this, we haven't even met you yet, but we already love you more than anything. We made a pact," she said. "We'll show her when she turns 18. That way, she'll be old enough to understand who we were, not just what we looked like." I agreed. It felt like a perfect kind of gift, a time capsule of love. Then, 2 years later, I got the phone call. A drunk driver had run a red light. Chloe was driving home from her mom's place. She never made it. The next week is a blur. Funeral flowers, empty crib sheets, a house that sounded too big. I remember sitting in the dark with Eleanor asleep on my chest, feeling like the tapes were the only thing I had left that was truly hers. Not just photographs, but movement, her voice, her laugh, her hands, proof that she existed beyond the accident. Friends tried to get me to move on, set me up on dates. Tell me it's what Chloe would have wanted. But every time I tried, it felt like I was betraying her. So I didn't. Not for a long time. Still, every year I'd take the box out once, not to watch it. That was for Eleanor, just to hold it. To remember the promise. And every time I put it back, I told myself the same thing. Wait for 18. When Eleanor was 13, I met Wendy. It was at my sister's birthday party. One of those family gatherings where you're half bored, half stressed because there's too much cake and not enough seating. I was standing in the kitchen nursing a soda when Wendy walked in, laughing at something my sister said. She had this easy confidence about her, the kind that comes from having been through a few storms already. We started talking. She told me she'd just gone through a divorce. She had 2 kids in college, was figuring out her next chapter. There was no judgment about me being a single dad. If anything, she seemed impressed. I liked that she didn't treat me like I was broken, or like I was wearing some invisible sign that said widower, handle with care. Over the next year, we got closer. She met Eleanor. Her kids came around for dinners. It felt like we were blending into something functional, even warm. When Eleanor was 15, Wendy and I got married. But almost from the start, there was this tension. Not constant, not loud, but there. Every time Chloe's name came up, Wendy's face would tighten. Sometimes she'd just change the subject. Other times, she'd go quiet. I wasn't bringing her up to compare them. Never said anything cruel like, "Why can't you be more like Chloe?" In fact, I tried to be careful, but I also refused to erase her. If Eleanor asked what was mom like, I told her. I wanted my daughter to have a mental picture of the woman who gave her life. Wendy once told me, "I feel like I can never be her." I tried to reassure her. I said, "I don't want you to be her. I love you the way you are." But I could tell it didn't stick. Chloe had been a model before she started her fashion career. Wendy had said more than once she wasn't in the best shape, since having her kids, her words not mine. I never cared. But I think somewhere deep down, Wendy carried a quiet jealousy toward a woman she'd never met. It was small at first. A look when I mentioned a memory. A quick change of topic. Sigh when she saw me showing Eleanor an old photo. But looking back, those were the hairline cracks. The ones you don't notice until the whole thing starts to splinter. 2 weeks before Eleanor's birthday, I started preparing the gift I had been saving for 16 years. I went into the closet, pulled out the white cardboard box, and set it on my desk like it was made of glass. Each tape still had the same blue ink labels Chloe had written herself. Doctor visit baby's room. Her kick woke me up. The handwriting alone was enough to make my throat tighten. I'd already found a service that could digitize them that way. Eleanor could keep them on her phone, her computer, anywhere she wanted. I even started looking for a nicer box to put the originals in, something that felt like a real presentation. This wasn't just a gift. It was the introduction to the mother she couldn't remember. One night that week, I told Wendy about my plan. She was sitting at the kitchen table scrolling through her phone, and at first she looked up with a small smile. But as I kept talking about how excited I was, how much this would mean to Eleanor, her face shifted, not anger exactly, but discomfort. "What?" I asked. She hesitated, then said quietly, "It's hard for me when you talk about her." I reminded her again that I wasn't comparing, that this was for our daughter. That Chloe had been gone for 16 years, and the tapes were the only way Eleanor could really meet her. Wendy's eyes welled up. "I just feel like I'll never measure up to her," she said. I walked over, put my arms around her, kissed her forehead. "I love you the way you are. This isn't a competition. She was my past. You're my present." She nodded, sniffled, apologized for feeling the way she did. Then, almost casually, she asked, "Where do you keep them?" I didn't think twice. I showed her. In the back of our closet, tucked behind a stack of old coats, sat the white box. I even opened it, let her see the tapes. She ran her fingers over the labels, said nothing, and closed the lid. It seemed like a moment of trust. A wife wanting to be led into the part of my life I'd kept so carefully guarded. I had no idea it was something else entirely. The morning it happened, I wasn't looking for trouble. I was looking for the box. I'd found a beautiful wooden keepsake chest online and decided I'd transfer the tapes into it before sending them off to be digitized. I wanted the gift to feel as special on the outside as it was on the inside. I went to the closet, pushed aside the coats, and it was gone. Not moved to a different shelf, not buried under a blanket. It's just an empty rectangle of dust where it had always been. I told myself I'd misplaced it, which, if you know me, is laughable. That box had never been out of my sight for more than a day in 16 years. Still, I tore the closet apart, checked under the bed, in the hallway cabinet, the attic, the garage. With each place I searched, my pulse got louder. Finally, I went downstairs. Wendy was on the couch, one leg tucked under her, watching TV. I stood in the doorway and asked, "Have you seen the box from the closet?" She didn't look surprised. She didn't even pause before answering. "I threw it away," she said. At first, I thought I'd misheard. "What?" "I threw it away," she repeated, voice flat. "You talk about her too much. You need to move on. Think of it as a head start." There was no apology in her tone, no hint that she'd made a mistake. Just a statement like she'd taken out the recycling. I felt heat rise in my face. My chest went tight. "You what?" "You're obsessed with her," Wendy said, her voice still calm. "She's been gone for over a decade, and it's time you stopped holding on to the past. This isn't healthy for you, or for us." "You threw away her voice," I said, my voice shaking. "You threw away the only way our daughter can meet her mother. That wasn't yours to touch." Her mouth tightened. "Don't be dramatic. They're just old tapes." "Just old tapes." It's the only existing footage of my wife talking to her unborn daughter. It's the only way Eleanor could see her mother's face move, hear her laugh, feel like she was in the room with her, walk to the kitchen trash, hoping, praying. She'd only thrown them away recently. I pulled open the lid and started digging. Coffee grounds, eggshells, junk mail, but no box. When I turned back, Wendy was standing there with her arms crossed, like I was overreacting. Something in me cracked. "You destroyed the most important thing I had left from her," I said. "You didn't just throw away tapes. You threw away a promise I'd been keeping for 16 years. Her face flickered. Maybe regret, maybe annoyance. "I didn't think it would hurt you this much," she said softly. "I'm sorry, okay?" I panicked. I didn't yell. I didn't slam anything. I just walked past her, down the hall, into our bedroom, and locked the door. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my hands, feeling like I was back in the hospital the night Chloe died. That same hollow space in my chest. That same knowledge that something was gone forever. I stayed in the bedroom the rest of the day, didn't eat, didn't answer her texts, didn't come out when she knocked softly and said my name, like it would undo what she'd done. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the last 16 years in my head. All the times I'd gone into the closet just to make sure the box was still there. All the times I'd told myself, wait for 18, keep the promise. And now it was gone. Not because of an accident or a disaster or some act of nature, but because the woman I married decided she knew better. The next morning, I went into my office and sat at my desk. I opened my computer and typed Chloe into the search bar. I was hoping for a miracle. Maybe I'd digitized a tape years ago and forgotten about it. All I found were photographs. Stills, frozen moments with no sound, no movement. Chloe smiling in the kitchen, holding Eleanor as a baby, laughing at something just out of frame. But it was like looking at a still frame from a movie you used to love. The story was there, but the life was missing. I dug through old USB drives, external hard drives, even CDs from the early 2000s. I found a few seconds of video. Nothing more than her walking into a room, brushing hair from her face, smiling at me, but no voice, no words to give my daughter. Meanwhile, Wendy kept texting. I'm sorry, please talk to me. I made a mistake. I'll make it right. We can find other ways to remember her. She didn't understand there were no other ways. You can't recreate a voice. You can't restage a moment 16 years gone. Then the friends started chiming in. Mutual friends. People who meant well but didn't get it. Come on, man. Chloe has been gone over a decade. Don't let this ruin your marriage. She's your wife now. Let her be your priority. It's just stuff. Let it go. Just stuff. Maybe to them. To me, it was the last piece of a promise. The last way for my daughter to see her mother as a living, breathing person instead of a name in a story. I kept thinking about Eleanor's face when I told her I didn't have the tapes anymore. How she would try to be strong for me, but how it would land in her chest like a weight she'd have to carry. How she'd wonder why someone who claimed to love her could destroy something that was hers before it ever belonged to anyone else. The guilt Wendy felt, if she really felt it, wasn't enough, not for this. And I wasn't ready to speak to her. Not then. Not with the noise in my head and the feeling in my gut that something between us had broken for good. It's been a couple of days since it happened. I've spoken to Eleanor like nothing's wrong because I don't want to ruin her birthday before it even gets here. But every time I hear her voice, I'm reminded that she's never going to hear her mother's again. Not the way I'd promised her she would. I've been piecing together whatever scraps I can find. Old phone recordings from before smartphones were even good at video. A voicemail Chloe left me once, saved on a backup I forgot I had. Random clips from friends' wedding tapes where she's in the background, laughing, trying to build something. Anything that I can still give Eleanor. Wendy keeps trying. She's cooked my favorite meals. She's left notes on my desk. She's cried at the door when I didn't answer. I can tell she thinks that if she shows enough remorse, this can be fixed. But here's the thing. Remorse doesn't bring back the only existing videos of my daughter's mother. Our friends are split. Some think I'm being cruel, punishing her for a mistake. Others say they can't believe she'd even think about throwing them away. One even told me if my husband did that, I'd never speak to him again. And I keep asking myself, is this forgivable? Not in the sense of moving past it for the sake of peace, but in the sense of ever feeling the same way toward her again. Because right now, something between us is gone. Not just trust, but a part of the story I thought we were writing together. In 2 weeks, my daughter turns 18. Instead of handing her a box of tapes, I'll be giving her a patchwork of fragments, stitched together from the few pieces her stepmother didn't destroy. I'll tell her the truth. Maybe not right away, maybe not in every detail, but enough so she knows this wasn't an accident. I've loved Wendy. I still do, in some small, stubborn way. But love doesn't erase the fact that she took something that wasn't hers to take. So I'm here, still ignoring her texts, still ignoring her knocks on the door, still wondering, is this one of those mistakes you can come back from? Or did she cross a line that can't be uncrossed? Update. I checked both outside trash bins. Nothing. I checked the kitchen trash. Nothing. Trash day isn't until Thursday. So the emptiness didn't make sense. Finally, I went upstairs. I asked her, plain and direct, "Where are the tapes?" She hesitated. Her eyes shifted away. At first, she wouldn't answer. That's when I said something I never thought I'd say. "If you don't tell me, we're done." Divorce. That broke her. She admitted she hadn't actually thrown them out yet. She'd hidden the tapes in her car, planning to wait until trash day to get rid of them for good, because she knew I'd searched the garbage. So, I walked outside, opened her trunk, and there they were. The white cardboard box, the handwriting still on every tape. 16 years of memories, still intact. I can't even describe the relief that washed over me when I touched that box. Thank God they're safe. But now, I know something I can't unknow. She was willing to destroy them, not in a moment of panic, but with time, planning, and intent. That might be even harder to forgive than losing them.